Dark Myth WuKong Chapter 21 Evolution. Hearing Tang Sanzang's anxious call, Sun Wukong froze for a moment, then understood, his heart filled with ecstasy. As he staggered back, he used the last remnants of his magic power to quickly scan his body. Suddenly, Sun Wukong's retreating body stopped. In that brief moment, he was knocked down by the aura emanating from Tang Sanzang's body. But Sun Wukong seemed oblivious, completely stunned by the bizarre sight within his own body, his thoughts grinding to a halt. Inside Sun Wukong's body, two irregular stones, one black and one gold, one large and one small, floated and rotated in a Tai Chi pattern. Around them, a pair of wind-fire wheels, a fiery red firmament heaven silk, a shimmering gold universe ring, a pitch-black nine-toothed rake, and his own Rui Jengu bang all rotated counterclockwise with the two stones. This sight left Sun Wukong speechless for a long time. How did Nezha's weapons, an old pig's rake, end up inside him? And what about the rake that was just in his ear? Thinking of this, Sun Wukong ignored the fact that he was lying sprawled on the ground and hurriedly reached into his ear. A tiny golden needle and a pitch-black rake suddenly appeared in his hand. Staring at the two weapons, Sun Wukong was again lost for words. Could there be two golden cudgels, two nine-toothed rakes? How was this possible? Driven by curiosity, Sun Wukong threw the golden cudgel in his hand and muttered,
"Bigger, bigger, bigger."
The golden cudgel slowly grew, quickly reaching its normal size. Then he threw the nine-toothed rake and muttered,
"Bigger, bigger."
Strangely, the nine-toothed rake also grew, becoming exactly the size Bajie normally used. Sun Wukong immediately retrieved the two weapons and focused his mind inward, trying to connect with the floating golden cudgel. The cudgel inside his body didn't react at all, continuing its rotation. He tried connecting with the other weapons, but without exception, they all remained indifferent, ignoring his mental commands. Giving up, Sun Wukong temporarily ignored these objects and began examining his injuries. This time, he was stunned again. It seemed he had encountered more strange things today than in his entire life. His internal injuries were almost completely healed, whether it was tendons and bones, internal organs, blood, or flesh. Everything seemed renewed. The most obvious change was his blood. The once bright red blood had turned completely golden, like molten gold. Sun Wukong knew he had turned misfortune into fortune. Setting aside everything else, the power contained within that golden blood alone was 3 times stronger than before. Moreover, his tendons, bones, and flesh were all strengthened, as if he had undergone an evolution. Although he was currently extremely weak due to depleted magic power and stamina, Sun Wukong believed that once fully recovered, his strength could absolutely double, perhaps even triple. However, thinking back, the good and evil aspects of himself, which he had painstakingly shed through immense effort, were lost in the battle against the Jade Emperor. This plunged Sun Wukong into despair. Without those aspects, attaining enlightenment became impossible. Sigh, he had been too impulsive. If only he could have waited longer, waited until he had severed the 3 corpses and achieved sainthood, waited for the Yao clan to gather more strength, waited until he was more certain. Perhaps the outcome would have been entirely different. Unfortunately, there were no if-onlys. He had failed, utterly failed. Flower Fruit Mountain was gone. The Yao clan was gone. Even old Shah Bajie and Little White Dragon were gone. Thinking of this, Sun Wukong felt a sting in his nose and tears streamed down his cheeks. Just then, he felt someone helping him up. Turning his head, he saw his master, Tang Sanzang. Tang Sanzang was wearing tattered Taoist robes, covered in blood. More importantly, his master's eyes were blind. Sun Wukong, already overcome with grief, could no longer hold back his tears, and threw himself into Tang Sanzang's arms, wailing like a child.
Master! Master! Sob, I was wrong. I was wrong. I caused Old Pig's death, Old Shah's death, and the destruction of Flowerfruit Mountain and countless yea. Master, I even caused your blindness. It's my fault, Sob. It's my fault. Master, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
With that, Sun Wukong cried even more heartbrokenly. Tang Sanzang fumbled, finding Sun Wukong's head. Hearing his disciples' grief-stricken cries, Tang Sanzang quietly stroked his head, letting him cry his heart out. After a long time, Sun Wukong cried himself tired and fell asleep in Tang Sanzang's arms. Only then did 2 tears roll down from the corners of Tang Sanzang's eyes. One hand gently patted Sun Wukong's back, while the other clenched tightly onto the muddy ground, his nails drawing blood without him realizing.
Tathagata, sooner or later, you will pay the price. You, Tathagata, are no longer worthy of being the ancestor of all Buddhas. One day, I will show you what true Buddhism is.
As if hearing Tang Sanzang's words, the 2 strange stones and the various weapons inside Sun Wukong's body vibrated in unison. Simultaneously, a small blood-red flower flew out from the top of Tang Sanzang's head, slowly circling the master and disciple. As it rotated, it cast down streams of green light. The depleted spiritual energy in Sun Wukong's body began to grow at an unimaginable speed. However, if one looked closely, they would see that this blood-red flower was illusory, not quite real. And deep within Tang Sanzang's blinded eyes, something resembling flower-shaped pupils seemed to be constantly flickering. When Sun Wukong woke up, a campfire was crackling beside him, radiating warmth. He scanned his body with his divine sense, and was astonished to find all his injuries completely healed, thoroughly healed, without a trace of hidden damage or bruises. Not only that, his strength seemed to have greatly improved. Although his magic power hadn't increased, the terrifying power contained within his body, limbs, muscles, and blood had definitely surged. He stood up and moved his limbs. The initial stiffness gradually gave way to flexibility. Only then did Sun Wukong have a chance to survey the cave. Looking around, he couldn't help but smile wryly. Why had his master brought him to the spiderweb cave? But on second thought, Flowerfruit Mountain was destroyed, and the Buddha would surely send Buddhist soldiers searching for them. Apart from the spiderweb cave, there really wasn't a better hiding place. He had just added a few dry branches to the fire when Tang Sanzang walked in, carrying a large bundle of wild fruits.
Master, this time it's your turn to find fruit for me.
Sun Wukong grinned cheekily, taking the wild fruits from Tang Sanzang's arms, randomly picking one, and taking a large bite.
Who told me to be your master? Can't let you starve. How is it, feeling better?
Right now I could probably take on 3 Jade Emperors. Never felt better. How about you, Master? Looks like your injuries are healed too?
Yes, this is largely thanks to that drop of golden blood from you. Not only are my injuries healed, but the salvation flower has completely merged with me and even evolved. The ethereal salvation flower, besides salvation, can also heal.
Before he could finish, Sun Wukong interrupted.
And it healed Master's eyes too. Ha ha ha. I wonder if this counts as turning misfortune into fortune?
Tang Zan chuckled softly, flicking his finger, and a small blood-red flower appeared on his fingertip. Simultaneously, Tang Sanzang's pupils began to rotate strangely, transforming into the shape of the small blood-red flower. Seeing this, Sun Wukong couldn't help but marvel.
These eyes, I'm afraid they're even more powerful than my fiery eyes of truth. This time, Master won't blame me for killing demons anymore. I fear no transformation in this world can escape these eyes. You mischievous monkey, bringing up my past again. But these eyes are truly strange. Not only can they pierce through the void, seeing beyond the ethereal heavens above and probing the 9 hells of the underworld below, but they also seem to contain a terrifying flame. I'm just not familiar with it yet. I don't know what kind of fire it is.
Tang Sanzang finished speaking and lightly tapped Sun Wukong.
How about we test it, Master? What if it's an incredibly powerful flame? It would be another tool against enemies later.
Sun Wukong suggested, scratching his head encouragingly.
All right, let's try it, just to know. But what should we test it on?
Seeing Tang Sanzang agree, Sun Wukong grinned broadly, reaching into his ear to pull out the golden cudgel, but then reconsidered and pulled out the nine-toothed rake instead.
Wukong, why is Bajie's rake in your ear?
I don't know either. It was there when I woke up. Let's talk about this later. I have something more important to tell Master. Let's test that flame first.
Fine, Daidehi. You monkey. Protective of your own weapon, huh?
Tang Sanzang shook his head, then formed a strange hand seal. Instantly, Tang Sanzang's eyes radiated red light, and the surrounding temperature shot up by several hundred degrees. Fortunately, Sun Wukong quickly used his magic power to contain the heat within a small area. After containing the heat, Sun Wukong saw the small red flower in Tang Sanzang's eyes rotate violently. Then, 2 streams of flame flew out from his eyes, quietly floating around the small blood-red flower on Tang Sanzang's finger. This flame also seemed to be trying to condense into the shape of a flower.
Master, release a bit more flame. This fire seems to have intelligence. It's trying to form its original shape.
Tang Sanzang urged his eyes, releasing another strand of flame. All the flames gathered around the blood-red flower on his finger. Gradually, all the flames coalesced. A moment later, Sun Wukong stared at Tang Sanzang in horror, stammering.
Master, this is the Red Lotus Karmic Fire. And it's Red Lotus Karmic Fire with the ethereal attribute.
Tang Sanzang was also stunned. With a slight mental command, he directed a tiny spark from the Red Lotus Karmic Fire onto the nine-toothed rake on the ground. Although it was just a tiny spark, it burned fiercely, and soon the head of the nine-toothed rake glowed red-hot. Tang Sanzang knew that if it continued, the nine-toothed rake might be damaged, so he prepared to retract the flame. Just then, a pig-like squeal erupted from within the rake.
Ouch, ouch, it burns, it burns. Master, old pig wouldn't dare. I just wanted to sneak in a nap. No need to roast me with Red Lotus Karmic Fire. Master, stop quickly.
Tang Sanzang hastily withdrew the flame, but then suddenly froze.
Bajie? Bajie, is that you? Bajie?
Then, a figure flew out from the nine-toothed rake. As soon as the figure appeared, it plopped onto the ground, rubbing its bottom incessantly.
Master Monkey Bro, it's me, old pig. It burns like hell. A little longer and I'd be roast pig.
You fool, you. What happened? Why are you in the rake and why are you in soul form?
Bajie, still rubbing his backside, explained.
That day I was having a good fight with Emperor Zue when suddenly a large group of monks arrived, led by Tathagata himself. Without a word, they captured both me and Emperor Zue. Then Tathagata said he brought 5 million troops to annihilate the Yeo clan and the Heavenly Court, and threatened me and Emperor Zue into launching a sneak attack. Old pig here might be a bit lecherous and lazy, but how could I launch a sneak attack for that old fogey Tathagata? I refused and gave him a piece of my mind. That old man got angry and almost killed me, beating me until my body and soul were nearly destroyed. Luckily, old pig is smart. My soul slipped into the nine-tooth rake at the last moment. Tathagata thought I was dead and didn't check again. As for that Emperor Zue, seeing me killed, he surrendered. Fei calls himself the Heavenly Emperor, no backbone at all.
Then how did this rake end up in my ear?
Wasn't it that old fogey Tathagata wanting to use my corpse to threaten you? Later, Master suddenly burst out of the golden bell and rescued you. That's when I controlled the nine-tooth rake to slip into your ear. Tathagata and the others were blinded by Master's flower shower and didn't notice me.
Then what about the rake inside my body?
At this mention, Zhu Baiyi immediately looked displeased.
You still have the nerve to ask, you damned monkey! As soon as I got into your ear, I don't know why, but a strong suction force came from inside your body, sucking away the weapon soul of my rake. Now that rake, its surname is Sun,